Yeah. So we're going to start by just making him some sugar, and we're going to take blood work. And those are our two first diagnostics. We're going to start there, and then we're going to do just a physical exam as long as they're handling it. The second they stop doing well, start feeling stressed, just back out.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, it's his eye.
Okay. No, it's the whole head.
Yeah. They said he's probably hit by car.
He looks pretty crappy.
Yeah. And then I think we should rush him, to oxygen after.
This is our first year having a fawn program, so there's a lot of learning still. We did a lot of research and reaching out to other experts to create a protocol and learn what it is we need to be doing. They are a very high stress species. They are a high risk of getting capture myopathy. And then there's the risk of habituation as well. So there's a lot of different techniques and things that we do to help minimize stress. So number one is keeping our voices down, always being as quiet as possible, keeping it dark, quiet, having that visual barrier so that they can't see us. It does act as a technique to help keep them calm. Minimizing our interactions with them. So when we're going in to feed a fawn or do anything with them, we're gonna have everything prepared ahead of time. And when we are doing anything, we're gonna try and be as quick and efficient as possible. With the older fawns that are a bit higher stress, we will actually sedate them and do their exam under sedation. That way it's a lot calmer for them. We don't always plug their ears, but that's another option that you can do. We definitely do that a lot with the ones that we sedate. We will put some cotton in their ears just to kind of make it a bit quieter, and then we'll kind of take it out and just leave them be to recover on their own.
Do you want to pull it off to your own side? Not going to be a perfect seal, but still in a wait and see. We've done fluids. We're trying to keep him having an appropriate amount of sugar so that he doesn't go hypoglycemic or anything. Got him on oxygen, but for the moment he's still pretty critical. So nothing can be said for sure yet.
So there can be many different reasons why fawns would be admitted into our care, ranging from predator attacks, which can include people's dogs, to human infrastructure. Young fawns, they're starting to explore their territory, which can lead them to roads where they have the chance of getting hit by a car, or into construction sites and things like that, where they have a high risk of being injured.
So we got an intake call that a fawn fell at a construction site and was injured and was brought into us from animal services. So our plan is, because fawns are very, very stressful animals, they get stressed really easily and they can hurt themselves very easily, we decided to sedate first and then bring the fawn in to do a full physical exam. So we'll check for any injuries, make sure that she's doing okay, and then we'll make a plan whether we need to treat or rehab for a little bit more time.
Other than any serious injuries that we can see externally, there's a lot of things that can be happening internal that puts them at high risk. There is the chance that they didn't get colostrum from their mom. So colostrum has 60 times antibodies that normal milk has. If they didn't get that from their mom, then it predisposes them to other diseases and illnesses that has a high chance of being fatal. There's, again, the risk of capture myopathy, which can also be fatal. So all of these reasons are examples of why an orphaned fawn, even without serious injury, is very vulnerable. We had a fawn that was brought in because she was actually wandering around a schoolyard and crying constantly. So when our hotline team started looking into it and they did some investigating, they found out that a lactating doe had actually been hit by a car on the road the day prior to this fawn being found. This fawn was thin, she was dehydrated. Based on the location of the doe, we assumed that the doe was the fawn's mother, and this fawn was in fact orphaned and needed our help. We did her initial treatments with her. I worked on getting her onto a bottle. Took a little bit to get her to take the bottle because the bottle is not the same as mom. Thankfully, she was brought to us in time, but sometimes these situations can be tricky. A fawn alone doesn't necessarily mean an animal that needs help, so it does require a lot of investigating and looking into the situation and the circumstances. It is natural for the doe to leave the fawns alone. So what the doe does is she kind of stashes them somewhere, and then she'll come back a couple times throughout the day to feed them, but otherwise she leaves them alone. So sometimes a fawn alone is absolutely a perfect healthy fawn and should be left alone. We have had situations where unfortunately fawns have been brought to us that they were mistakenly taken from the wild and weren't actually orphaned. Being with their mother is the best chance that they have to thrive and survive in the wild. That is the best case scenario. So when they come to us, we're not as good as mom, but we do our best as we can to kind of mimic what mom does until they are old enough to be independent and released back into the wild. There's a lot that goes into the care for raising these fawns. They get moved to our large outdoor enclosure where they have a spacious environment that kind of mimics the environment they would be growing up in with their mother. Other orphaned fawns get grouped together. That way they can learn from each other, they can bond with each other. We do a lot of research to know what diet to offer them, medical attention, anything they need while they're here. While we are in their enclosures doing any cleaning and feeding, we enter wearing ghillie suits. Again, we want to minimize any chance of habituation, and then they're with us for many, many months and just continue to assess them and monitor them from a distance until they are fully ready to be released and independent into the wild. It's called a soft release. There have been some studies that have showed increased chances of survival when you soft release fawns in the fall. So how that worked was we opened up the enclosure and let them leave on their own, which they did pretty quickly. And then they just kind of wandered out and went down into the field and into the forest, and they just immediately went and were exploring this new area. And they are doing it together as a little mini herd. We're coming in as these little spotted fawns, and at release, pretty much have lost all of their spots. And they were very large and beautiful, and they're just perfectly healthy. So it was very rewarding to just see them doing what they're supposed to be doing and getting to see them released back into the wild where they belong.
If you like our videos, please subscribe to our channel and make sure you hit the bell to be notified when we share new content. We would also love if you shared this video with a friend.